paramilitary forces, the hospitals, the nurses, the doctors, the ambulances. These are the physical manifestation of a policy or a plan or a uh, program. So policy analysis is a rational, systematic approach to make policy choices in public sector. The important, uh, the important concept here is this. I am highlighting that area, public sector. You should understand, you should remember this. Whenever you are asked that what is important in policy analysis, when you are drawing the policy analysis, when you are analyzing the policy, what is the most important feature of that policy analysis public in a public policy, which is public sector? Why public sector is so important? Why this is important for us, important for the government, important for the people, for the community? Why? Because we are the part of this society, we are the part of this community. So the policies, the rational systematic approach to the policy choices, government took some actions, government apply some policies to address the crime rate. So when we are going to analyze that policy, we do a systematic approach, rational systematic approach, which can be studied, which can be the practical approach, which can be which have the practical footings on the ground. On that basis, we will understand, we will analyze the policy of the government. The second important feature in this is it supports the policymakers to identify the policies which are cost effective. Let me underline this: cost effective, and would help to achieve the goals. So these are the important keywords in this statement, and the objective desired. So I have underlined underline this for you so that you may understand this more accurately. Cost effective. What is cost effective? Let me rephrase, let me give you the meaning of this particular word, cost effective, in which the cost is minimum and the outcome is maximized. So this is cost effective, would help to achieve the goals. Second most important thing is in policy analysis, when you are going to analyze policy, number one, you see that this policy is cost effective. Second, that policy have the potential to achieve goals and fulfill the objectives desired. So these three things you will locate in a statement, in a policy statement, in a given or implemented policy. Number one, that policy should be for the public sector. Number two, that policy should be cost effective. Number three, that policy should achieve the goals. And number four is it corresponds with the objective desired. So this is policy analysis, how we analyze the policy. There is a 5E approach. 5E approach is effectiveness, efficiency, ethical consideration, evaluation of alternatives, establishment of recommendations for positive change. So we will discuss this one by one. Effectiveness, that how effective the policy or policies are. Are they giving benefits to the people? Are they corresponding directly to the benefits of the people? If yes, then it is a good policy. It is the effective policy. If no, then we categorize that policy that the effectiveness of this policy is or has been compromised. A compromised or a bent policy can never be the good policy. So the effectiveness is the key for the analysis of a policy. For the analysis, we should see that first we should understand, we should dissect that policy and see that this policy is effective or not. We put an eye on the effectiveness of the policy, whether that policy addressed our questions, addressed our concerns or not. Second, efficiency. That how efficient the policy is. For that, you can find the definition in the notes. So, what is efficiency? This I have written down in the notes. Efficiency signifies a peak level of performance that uses the least amount of inputs to achieve the highest amount of output. It minimizes the waste of resources such as physical material, energy, time, and accomplishing the desired output. This is efficiency, in which we minimize the waste of resources, in which we limit the wastage of our resources, and what we do, we maximize the output. That policy is a good policy, which is the efficient policy. If the policy is wasting too much resources, if a policy is wasting too much money, material, labor, anything else, if there is excess of wastage connected with policy, that policy can never be the efficient policy, or the efficiency of that policy will be compromised, and that makes that policy bad policy. Yes. Sorry. Number third E is ethical consideration. For that, you can also see in the notes area meaning of ethical. It is relating to moral principles or the branch of knowledge dealing with these. For example, I ask you to write a paper. I ask you to write a paper on any subject, on any policy matter. You write that down, but you forget the ethical consideration, you forget the ethical standards. You cheat. For instance, you copy from your friend. You plagiarize from the internet. You take opinion from any person without telling that person that you will be using his or her quotation in your paper. You interview you interview a subject, you interview a person without telling him why you are conducting that interview is unethical. So a policy which is not corresponding with the ethical issues, which doesn't fulfill the ethical consideration, is or can be the bad policy. Number fourth E is evaluation of alternatives. What are the alternatives? If plan A fails, what will we do? We have plan B. We will, sorry, we have plan B in our uh, inventory. We have different plans. We have alternatives. We have contingencies to address one particular problem. To address one particular problem for the solution, we attain different approaches. We devise different uh, policies on different levels. Levels of problems are different, and policies regarding to those levels are different. So we categorize plan A, plan B, plan C. We have alternatives with ourselves in our hand. We clarify them in our mind when we are devising a policy. Plan A will address this issue. If plan A fails, or if plan A is wasting too much resources, we will switch to plan B. If plan B is also unable to fulfill the objectives we desire, we switch to plan C. So we evaluate our alternatives. We have some different objects in our hand regarding policy matters. Number fifth E is establishment of recommendation for positive change. For that, I again highlight the important word positive change. Here, when we discuss positive change, we also discuss negative change. The positive change is metamorphosis. The positive change is increase. The blooming of some concept, the blooming of the governmental decisions in favor of people, a positive curve, a positive line going upwards. But what is negative change? There is a negative change. There is a negative concept of metamorphosis, which is going downwards. So both is important, the both change. The comparison of the change is important when we analyze policy while using the approach 5E approach. The last one is very important. Sorry. Establishment of recommendation for positive change and negative change as well. I forgot to write there in this text. So negative change is important because without negative change, without watching negative change, how we are going to measure the positive change? So it is important to compare positive change and negative change. So which this process is completed by feedback, inside and outside. In some other lecture, I will tell you that what is inside feedback and what is outside, and what is important during crafting, bending, or making something good for the government. So we will discuss that unethical issue in other class. Second, another slide is principles of policy analysis. To focus on a central decision of the problem, think about the types of policy actions, and can be taken to address the given situation or calamity, learn to deal with uncertainty, make the analysis simple and transparent, check facts, not rumors, give the public analysis, not decision, be aware that there is no absolute correct, pure rational and complete and comprehensive analysis. So these are the principles of policy analysis by which we analyze the policy. Number one is focus on central decision of the problem. Central decision of the problem. I can imagine your blank eyes. I can see because I have taught you in face-to-face session, and I see when I ask question, what will be your eyes like? You are blank. Central decisions of the problem. Okay, central decision means that government took the decision. That government takes a decision to address the problem. There are different levels of analysis. There are different levels of policy. But the important thing is the central decision, not the process. Institution A is saying something. Institution B is referring to something. Institution C is categorizing this problem in another way. But the government analyze, but the government consider every possibility. The government look upon every situation, every possible situation, and gave the decision. So that is the central decision given by the government. So we should look upon, when we are analyzing a policy, when we are analyzing a public policy, we should based on a principle of central decision. Number second is think about the types of policy actions and can be taken to address the given situation or calamity. If something happens, you have your policy types. Apply to those types which we discussed in our class, in our previous classes before midterm exams. We learn different types. Apply those types and analyze regarding to the situation of the calamity or the calamity. For that, for third point, I again refer you, I static this, it means that you can see this in the notes. What is uncertainty? Learn to deal with uncertainty. This is the very important principle. This is very sorry, important principle when you are analyzing a public policy. What is uncertainty? Let me ask this question. Let me start with this point, that what is uncertainty? Being in the state of fear of unknown. Please, this is not to, this is, you can write that down. State of fear, this is a typing error. State of fear of unknown and failed to absorb the shock or trauma. It means that you don't know something. In this word, we are unaware of the future. Okay, let's be clear. So what we do, we don't know anything. We don't. We can plan. We can use our mind. We can see the previous patterns. We can learn from the history. We can see the patterns, and we can locate the possibilities, not certainties, possibilities. And possibilities are uncertain. Remember that those are only the possibilities, not certainties. So In this world, we don't deal with certainties. We don't deal with something concrete. So, in policy analysis, in public policy analysis, or in policy making in general, what we do, we prepare ourselves to, to understand the uncertainty in this world, to prepare ourselves for the uncertainty, so that we may absorb the shock, so that we may absorb the trauma, and we act after that calamity or the shock. We act rationally after that. But if not, how we are going to act rationally when we cannot think straight, when we cannot cope with the situation, when we are taken by surprise. So it is important for us to learn to deal with an uncertainty. We cannot change uncertainty. We cannot change this behavior. Not at all. The world is moving forward. It cannot move backward. This is not something you can reverse. Entropy is in play. Entropy is in a circle, going on, going forward. And you don't know the line. You don't know what is coming to you. What you can do is, what policymakers can do, what we can do is to learn to live with uncertainty. It is difficult to live with uncertainty, but we need to learn this. Because why? Let me clarify why I'm saying this. Why it is important to learn to live with uncertainty. Why? नहीं सीखते हैं. We cannot learn. हम जैसे हैं वैसे ठीक हैं. But why this is so important? Because without learning to deal with uncertainty, we cannot be able to perform according to situation. We cannot rethink and employ our resources in a better way to address the situation. This is important because we want to address a situation. This is important because we want to act after something happened, because we want to ensure our safety, security, and our survivability. So that depends on this point. Another is, make the analysis simple and transparent. If you are analyzing some issue, if you are analyzing an issue, make sure that your analysis is transparent, your analysis is simple. Check the facts, not rumors. Always go to you can say a source, an authentic source, rather checking on rumors. Let me give you the example here. Okay, the example is हमारे पास this is a routine example that we don't check facts through authentic sources. We go on social media, we go on we Google everything, we try to do this thing, which make us very much very likely prone to surprise, prone to that issue which we are dealing with. So it is important that we should check with facts, with authentic facts, not rumors. Another is, give the public analysis, not decision. It is our duty. It is the duty of the government. It is the duty of the decision makers to educate the people, to tell them to analyze the issue, not the decision. Government, this is the job of government to decide something, not the analyst. We here are the analysts. We are analyzing a policy. We are trying to analyze certain government steps. Let's suppose we are dealing with increase in street crimes. Yes, this is the issue. Government start to do something for this. So we analyze the government, we analyze the decision, but we cannot decide what government is doing or not, what government can do or not. Last one is be aware that there is no absolute correct, pure, rational, and complete and comprehensive analysis. Because absolute is nothing. Philosophically speaking, absolute is not an entity. Absolute is in the imagination. Absolute is not in this world, is not the reality. Reality is not absolute. So you find it very interesting when I say in my philosophy classes that what reality is. Is it a thought, or reality is what in which we live? This is very confusing, but for that, for your class, for your understanding, you should understand that nothing is absolute, nothing is perfect, nothing is you cannot say that you can devise something, you can create a or a make a very comprehensive and a very uh, perfect policy. Nothing is perfect. Near to perfect. Near to perfect is achievable. Nothing is perfect because perfect is unachievable. So in policy analysis, when you are analyzing a policy, when you are drawing an analysis for a policy, it means that you are doing your best. You are doing everything in your power to analyze your policy, but still there is a chance of an error, chance of a mistake, chance that you missed something, chance that you unintentionally missed a point, an important point, which made your analysis less important, which made your analysis incomplete. So no one can give absolute or perfect analysis. So you should remember this. Okay, this is our last slide of today. I will continue this lecture after this slide. This is the last slide which I will discuss today. This is the process of policy analysis. So what is process? Sorry. What happened? What happened?